Welcome back, everyone. This is Brother Doug. We're back for the part two of what Christianity gets right and wrong and what Judaism gets right and wrong. We're still on the Judaism part, but we're going to be moving a little bit quicker here. We have a full 40 minutes this time, so we'll be going through it. All right, so Brother Dennis, if you could go into the next portion dealing with the issue of the Father's name not being spoken in Judaism.
Oh,
I
yes.
want to say something right before Dennis speaks. That Dennis and I, because we are of the Jewish descendancy, we feel like we should speak with our Jewish brethren. And because Doug is from Christianity, he speaks with the Christian brethren. That I just want to explain that. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. And speaking of that too, and the man-made traditions of not uttering the name Hashem of the Father. And of course, we know that actually breaks one of the 10 commandments, bringing the Father's name Yahuwah to nothing. Exodus 20, verse 7. Shoshana?
You do not bring the name of Yahuwah to your Elohim to nothing. For Yahuwah does not leave the one unpunished who brings his name to desolation or destruction.
Yes.
In other words, they destroy his name.
Absolutely. And there's a name they use that does that to bring his name to nothing. I won't say that right now, but anyway. And another tradition they don't keep is the new moons as the day of worship, which contradicts Scripture. And this is Ezekiel 46, 1, 2, and 3. Shoshana?
Okay, hold on. I wasn't ready for that.
All right. All right, so while Shoshana is getting there, just to edit, people wanted to look for that false name that Dennis just said. It's pretty much spelled H-O-V-A-H, and in Hebrew it means destruction. So for anyone that's curious about that. So here we go. I'll put it back on share screen here for Shoshana and let Shoshana.
Okay. All right, Ezekiel 46, 1 through 3. Baal has bowed down. Nebo is stooping. Their idols were on the beast, excuse me. Their idols were on the beasts and on the cattle. That which is carried is burdensome, a burden to the weary. They have stopped. They have bowed down together. They were unable to deliver the burden, but they themselves went into captivity. Listen to me, O house of Jacob, and all the remnant of the house of Israel, who are born from the body, who are carried from the womb. And I feel like I should continue. Even to your old age, I am he, and even to gray hairs I carry. I have made and I bear, and I carry and rescue. To whom do you liken me and compare me and make me similar that we should be alike? They pour gold out of the bag and weigh silver on the scale. They hire a goldsmith, and he makes it a mighty one. They fall down and they also bow themselves. So do not make mighty ones out of gold or silver or any other thing. There are no other mighty ones. Yahuwah is our creator.
Absolutely. Yes. And of course, another tradition, the postponements, their new moons are the dark moons, and they do not land on the correct days. A postponement is a tradition of men too, which means they delay a Sabbath or new moon if it's next to a Sabbath or another.
Or on the Sabbath. Especially if it's on a Sabbath.
Yes, they postpone it. Yes, not allowing anyone in the synagogues to read Yashayahu Isaiah 53. Shoshana?
Okay. Isaiah 53 is an eye-opener for all Yahudim, and you should read it. Who has believed our report, and to whom was the arm of Yahuwah revealed? For he grew up before him as a tender plant and as a root out of dry ground. He has no form or splendor that we should look upon him, nor appearance that we should desire him. Despised and rejected by men, a man of pains and knowing sickness, and as one from whom the face is hidden, being despised, and we did not consider him. Truly, he has borne our sicknesses and carried our pains. Yet we have reckoned him stricken, smitten by Yahuwah, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our wickednesses. The chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. We all like sheep went astray. Each one of us has turned to his own way, and Yahuwah has laid on him the wickedness of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, but he did not open his mouth. He was led as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, but he did not open his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and as for his generation, who considered that he shall be cut off from the land of the living? For the transgression of my people he was stricken, and he was appointed a grave with the wicked and with the rich at his death, because he had done no violence, nor was deceit in his mouth. But Yahuwah was pleased to bruise him. He laid sickness on him, that when he made himself an offering for guilt, he would see a seed. He would prolong his days, and the pleasure of Yahuwah prosper in his hand. From the suffering of his life he would see light and be satisfied. Through his knowledge, my righteous servant makes many righteous, and he bears their wickednesses. Therefore I give him a portion among the great, and he divides the spoil with the strong, because he poured out his being unto death, and he was counted with the transgressors. And he bore the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors. This, my friends, my Jewish brothers and sisters, is talking about your Messiah, and his name was Yahusha HaMashiach, and most of the world knows him as Jesus or Jesus. He is one and the same. Thank you.
Yes, and those that call men teachers or rabbis are putting men over the assembly, Nicolaitan, which Yahusha hates. This is Yahu, Matthew 23, 8 through 10. Shoshana?
Okay. But you do not be called rabbi, for one is your teacher, HaMashiach, and you are all brothers. And call none on earth your father, for one is your Father, he who is in the heavens. Neither be called leaders, for one is your leader, HaMashiach. But the greatest among you shall be your servant, and whoever exalts himself shall be humbled, and whoever humbles himself shall be exalted. Sorry, I read a little further than I should have.
That's okay. That helps to explain it. And the star Remphan, or Molech worship, which they call the Star of David, which he would not recognize. This is in Acts 7, verse 43. Doug?
Yep. All right, so I'm going to read from the first cross reference, and then I'll give it to my brother Dennis when we get to Amos chapter 5. But let me go to Acts chapter 7, verse 43. I'm going to put my e-sword on here and right here. So Stephen in the book of Acts is pretty much quoting from Amos the prophet here, and he's rebuking the Pharisees here. So just to give you the context. All right, so he says, indeed, okay, you carried up the tabernacle, meaning dwelling place of Molech, and the star of your deity, Remphan, the images which you made to worship them. So a star that they used to worship idols. And I will relocate you beyond Babylon. So this, when this first happened, it was actually the 70-year basically 70-year captivity, which Brother Dennis is about to read in Amos chapter 5, verse 26. Brother Dennis?
Yes. 5, verse 26. But you took up Sikkuth, your sovereign, and Kayan, your idols, your astral mighty ones, which you made for yourselves. Therefore I shall send you into exile beyond Damascus, said Yahuwah Elohim of hosts, his name, Yahuwah. Yes. Kabbalah, Jewish version of the Eastern mysticism, is the Jewish version of Hinduism. Jews wear them incorrectly. Some even tear the corners of their shirts, their t-shirts, and they also will tear their garments in their priesthood to say, I have nothing more to do with it. And this is unscriptural as well. Yes.
Talking about ZZs.
No,
Sorry about that, everyone. That was my bad. I, for some reason, forgot to type that before the paragraph. So that's not Dennis's fault. That's my fault. Sorry about that. Back to you, Dennis.
well, that's okay. Yes, they're Jewish version of Hinduism. And of course, the tzitzis. The Jews wear them incorrectly. They wear them on their tellets. They don't wear them on the four corners of their garments themselves. They put this coat or this vest on that has the tzitzis on them, and they're extra long. They're very long because they want to show them to the people. They do not come before the Creator with an open heart. They just want to make a show to the people that, see, I am great. I'm wearing the tzitzis. And that's why it's incorrectly done. Their or their corners of their t-shirts or tallets, and no blue cords either in the tassels. And this comes, we know this from Numbers 15, 37 through 40. Shoshana, would you like to read Deuteronomy? Well, you can read this, and I'll read Deuteronomy.
I'm reading Numbers 15, 37 through 41.
Okay.
And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Yisrael, and you shall say to them to make tzitzit on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a blue cord in the tzitzit of the corners. And it shall be to you for a tzitzit, or fringes, and you shall see it and shall remember all the commandments of Yahuwah, and shall do them, and shall not search after your own heart and your own eyes after which you went whoring, so that you remember and shall do all my commandments and be Kadosh unto Elohim. So be set apart unto Yahuwah. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim to be your Elohim. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. So wear your tzitzis, knowing that you represent ambassadors to Yahuwah,
Right.
doing commandments.
And this is not specifically for you, but this is for the people that look at you and see the tzitzis and say, oh, that reminds me to do the commandments. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And I will read Deuteronomy 22:12. Deuteronomy or Devarim. Make tassels or tzitzis on the four corners of the garment with which you cover yourself. And you can relate this, and I think Doug will cover this later. We know our Mashiach, Yahusha, wore these tzitzis. We can read this in Matthew, chapter 9, verses 20-21. There was a lady there, a girl that knew what these tzitzis meant. She had a blood issue of over 12 years, and she knew if she just touched the tzitzis, she would be restored.
Yep. And it's just for anyone that's interested, it's the Greek word kraspedon, Kraspedon, and you can find it in Matthew 9:20, which I will be reading towards the end of this part, the Christianity part of this study. And also, well, actually, my brother Tony will be reading Matthew 9:20, but you can find it in Matthew chapter 9, verse 20, and also Matthew chapter 14, verse 36. The same Greek word is used there that is used in the Septuagint in Numbers 15. So just for your information, it's actually the same word. It's mistranslated as hem in our English Bibles.
Yes.
So, all right, I'll be taking over now. We are now at the portion of Christianity portion. What do they get right from Scripture? What they get wrong? Christians believe in the Messiah, Yahusha, even though they don't know him by his true name. They believe in the one who died for the sins of the world, so that they got correct. Unfortunately, as we go to the next bullet point here, they have some paganism involved in the Messianic faith. So they have pagan feasts, which I'm going to ask my brother Tony to read from Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 1-4.
All right. Hear the word which Yahuwah speaks to you, O house of Israel. Thus said Yahuwah, do not learn the way of the nations. Do not be awed by the signs of the heavens, for the nations are awed by them. For the laws of these people are worthless, for one cuts a tree from the forest. Work for the hands of a craftsman with a cutting tool. They beautify it with silver and gold. They strengthen it with nails and hammers so that it does not topple. They are like a rounded post, and they do not speak. They have to be carried because they do not walk. Do not be afraid of them, for they do no evil, nor is it in them to do any good. Do you want me to keep going by chance?
No, that's great. Great job, though. So basically, Brother Tony was just reading from Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 1-4. This is where we get the Christmas tree from in modern day Christianity.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. It goes, you can trace this all the way back to Babylonian artifacts, archaeology. Nimrod was most likely the first Santa Claus. And actually he was the one that instituted this type of worship where people would bow before a tree and worship the tree, giving gifts to it, almost like sacrificing materialism to the tree in a way. So we're going to go to the next bullet point I have here. It says cross worship. Christianity, unfortunately, has turned what Yahusha did on the stake into an idol. They have actually taken the letter, the Tau letter of the Aleph and the Tau, and they've turned it into an idol, which is no much more different than, how the Israelites turned, the Aleph into an idol, and they started worshiping a golden calf, which if you look in the paleo language, the Tau is basically ox head. So it's kind of the same thing. So we're going to go here, Exodus chapter 20, verses 4 to 5. My sister Susan, I'll let her take over here.
Oops, I was muted. Sorry.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, everyone's hearing you. Yep.
Exodus 20, verse 4 and 5. You shall not make any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven, Shamim, above, or that is in the earth below, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down yourself to them or serve them. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. I am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generations of them that hate me.
Yep, thank you. So that's pretty much, thank you, Sister Susan, great job there. That is pretty much self-explanatory, pretty much right there. So that's directly going against one of the 10 commandments there. And then next we have the virgin birth. That's actually a point for Christianity. They actually accept the virgin birth. In actuality, that's something in Judaism that they still to this day don't want to accept. But Yahusha was born of a virgin, and this was prophesied about, and I'll be reading from Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6 in the Septuagint. And most Bibles will say virgin. Most that are being honest with the text will say Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, virgin. So let's see here. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, it says, for a child is born. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, my bad. It's actually chapter 7, verse 14. My bad about that. Got it confused there. All right. So it says in Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, therefore Yahuwah shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive in the womb and shall bring forth a son, and you shall call his name Emmanuel, which means Elohim with us. So it's a sign that the co-creator, Yahusha, would be with us in human form. And so that is a sign of the Messiah coming. And just for any Jewish listeners that might be listening, that's a proof, one of the proofs that Yahusha is the Messiah in that prophecy. Now we're going to jump down to Sunday worship in Christianity. Basically, the Sabbath was changed to worship the sun. I will be showing some proof here that Sunday was never the Sabbath, and even the Catholic Church admits it here. We're going to go to Rome's challenge. Hopefully this is on the shared screen. Or I'm going to double check to make sure it's on the shared screen. Okay, I'm going to read the first couple lines here. So this is from Rome's challenge. So you can look this up for yourselves. Don't take for what I say for truth. Test it for yourselves. It says, why do Protestants keep Sunday? ? Most Christians assume that Sunday is biblically approved day of worship. The Roman Catholic Church protests that it transferred Christian worship from biblical Sabbath. So it's trying to tell you that the original Messianics, or Nazarenes is what believers in the Messiah originally were called, not Christians. So that's another whole thing for another whole day, another topic. But they're basically admitting to you the early believers in Yahusha in the first century were keeping the Sabbath, the Saturday Sabbath, not Sunday. To Sunday, and that to try to argue that the change was made in the Bible is both dishonest and a denial of Catholic authority. If Protestantism wants to base its teachings only on the Bible, it should worship on the Sabbath, Saturday. So basically, the Catholic Church is telling you straight up, you're keeping our authority instead of Yahuwah's, basically. So just wanted to add that there. It's kind of like they're snitching on themselves there. So
it's a matter of who you worship. because if they are keeping Sunday, they're worshiping the Pope. They're not worshiping the Creator.
Mm-hmm.
The Creator's mark is the Sabbath.
Yep, indeed. And we're going to get to more of the rejection of Yahuwah's eternal law here in this next bullet point. So Christianity has also rejected the majority or almost all of Yahuwah's commandments and laws. You can find almost a prophecy referring to Christianity technically in Ezekiel 22. I'm going to let my sister Susan take over first at Ezekiel chapter 22, verse 8, and then we'll let Tony take the second one. All right.
Ezekiel 22:8. 22:8. You have despised my holy things and have profaned my Sabbaths. In you are men that carry tales to shed blood, and in you they eat upon the mountains. In the midst of you they commit lewdness. What am I reading to?
That's it. You got it. That's it. That's actually, I'm glad you read a little bit more, though. That actually gave some context. All right, Brother Tony, if you can, same chapter, verse 36.
I'm actually on the chapter now. I'm using the scriptures, and it only goes up to 31. I also even opened up my Sefer, and it only goes up to 31. I can't go into.
That's interesting. Let me see here why it does that.
I'll read it. Verse 36. And Yahweh said to me, Son of man, judge Oholah and Oholabah, and declare to them their abominations.
Oh, my bad, sis. It's verse 26. I'm sorry about that. Sorry, Tony.
Oh.
My bad. That's my fault on that one.
I can read it if you want.
Yeah. Verse
right.
26 of chapter 22.
Okay. All right. Her priests have done violence to my teaching. They profane my set-apart matters. They have not distinguished between the set-apart and profane, nor have they made known the difference between the unclean and the clean, and they have hidden their eyes from my Shabbats. And I am profaned in their midst. Want me to keep going by chance?
No, that's pretty much it, I think. I think that pretty much covers it all, that one verse. So thank you, Brother Tony. So that covers the completely rejecting Yahuwah's law, and actually set at nothing, not distinguishing, not teaching the difference to his people between clean and unclean, with food, the other commandments, so a lot, basically Yahuwah is like basically judging her, and it's kind of interesting. It says her priest, if you research the word Kirk and where that comes from, it's kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so it says they also don't call upon Yahuwah and Yahusha's names. So we're going to go to Sister Susan to read Exodus chapter 23, verse 21, and you'll get a little idea of who this angel of Yahuwah actually is. So Exodus chapter 23, verse 21, Sister Susan, if you could.
Exodus 23:21. Beware of him and obey his voice. Do not provoke him. He will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him.
Yep. So, all right. So that was great, Sister Susan. Let's see. We got another cross reference here. Let me go back to this. And okay, so we got John chapter 5, verse 43. Brother Tony, if you could read that.
All right. I have come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, him you do receive. Back to you.
Yep, self-explanatory, and there would be another that comes in his own name. More of the reason to use Yahusha and not Jesus. And I'm talking to my Christian audience here. So another Messiah would come in with his own name. So that's just something to think about. Psalms chapter 138, verse 2. This shows you the importance of the Father's name, and the Masoretic text, the way it's worded, would have you believe that he made his word above his name, but we're going to really test that here and see if that's true. Let's see here. It says in the Septuagint, Psalms 138, verse 2, I will worship toward your set-apart temple and give thanks to your name on account of your mercy and your truth, for you have magnified your set-apart name above everything. Everything's everything. So it's actually the other way around. So that's just something to pay attention to there. And you can only get that with the Septuagint. The next thing we're going to do here, I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit. We probably got about 8.5 minutes with this part 2 here. All right, so the Jesus fish symbol, you know, the weird cervix symbol that you'll see sometimes in Christian symbols, like the 2 circles meeting, that goes back to Dagon worship, which Dagon was another name for Nimrod in Babylon. And you'll even see the mitre, the fish mitre hats in Catholicism and all that. So, but anyway, let's move on here. So another lie that unfortunately is taught, that unfortunately has gotten into Christianity and has confused a lot of believers, is the Pre-Trib Rapture Lie. And I'm going to ask my brother Tony here to read Matthew chapter 13, verse 36 to verse 43.
All right. All right. Then, having sent the crowds away, Yahusha went into the house, and his taught ones came to him, saying, Explain to us the parable of the darnel of the field. And he, answering them, said to them, He who is sowing the good seed is the son of Adam, and the field is the world, and the good seed. These are the sons of the rain, but the darnel are the sons of the wicked one. And the enemy who sowed them is the devil. And the harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are the messengers. As the darnel then is gathered and burned in the fire, so it shall be at the end of his age. The son of Adam shall send out his messengers, and they shall gather out of his reign all the stumbling blocks, and those doing lawlessness, and shall throw them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous shall shine forth as the sun in the reign of their Father. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Back to you.
Yep, great job, Tony. So as you can see, that huge portion my brother Tony just read pretty much breaks it down. The darnel, and probably a better English term that the ISR, in my opinion, should have just left it as tares. Most people know who the tares are, so definitely basically the tares are the children of the devil, the wheat are the children of the kingdom, children of Yahuwah and Yahusha. So the tares are actually taken first. So technically they would be the one taken first, and the true believers would be left behind in the earth. So not to go on too much of a tangent, just to explain that a little bit. Okay, so the next point here. Catholic Church idolizes saints and prays to them, like venerates them, like dead people, dead popes, and even they'll idolize biblical characters in the New Testament, like Peter and all that, and worship them. So and we have a cross reference here that I would like to ask Sister Susan to read. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5.
1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5. For there is one Elohim and one mediator between Elohim and men, the man Yahusha HaMashiach.
Perfect. All right, so that really gives you the idea that the only mediator you should be praying to is the Son of the Father. No regular human beings should be prayed to. So that's pretty much why we brought up that cross-reference there. Then we got the point here of pagan graven idols and images recycled in Catholic churches, Greek Orthodox, a lot of those type of churches. Sometimes in Protestant churches, but I haven't seen many. Jupiter, the false Roman deity Jupiter, became Peter in the Catholic Church in the St. Peter Basilica. So they recycled a lot of pagan deities, and when the formation of Christianity happened, when you had paganism and the Messianic faith merging, a lot of recycled pagan deities being called biblical characters. So, all right, to the next point here. We got the priests are called father in the Catholic religion. So this is going to be a little review from earlier, Matthew 23, 8-10. If Brother Tony, if you could possibly read that.
No problem. All right. But you do not be called rabbi, for one is your teacher, Hamashiach, and you are all brothers. And do not call anyone on earth your father, for one is your Father, he who is in the heavens. Neither be called leaders, for one is your leader, Hamashiach. Back to you.
We're running out of time here. This was a very lengthy study, so I'm going to try to fit as many cross-references as we can before we have to end this session. Here we go. So we got dressing modestly. That is a big problem in mainstream Christianity today, with women and men alike. So I would like to read from 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 9 on the topic of modesty. Okay, so 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 9, and which says, in like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel with humbleness and sobriety, not with broided hair or gold or pearls or costly array. And it's gotten a lot worse in modern day. You'll see women, basically, showing their busts and stuff like that. It's very inappropriate, very unmodest type of dressing in modern day Christianity. So now we're going to fast forward here to eating unclean. They don't eat clean at all. And I will start this off with a warning of end times. So Christian listeners, you should really be paying attention to this one in Isaiah 65, verse 17. Definitely want to fit this in. This is all end times context. This hasn't happened yet, so I can't stress that enough. Isaiah 65 has not happened yet. So it says, let's see here. Isaiah 60, 17. Maybe it's, let me just make sure I'm reading from the right one here. All right, Isaiah 66, 17, my bad. They that set apart themselves and purify themselves in the gardens and eat swine's flesh in the porches and the abominations in the mouth shall be consumed together, says Yahuwah. A warning to stop eating swine's flesh. Please stay tuned, everyone. We got a little portion to do. We're probably going to have to do a part 3. Thank you for joining us today, though. Shalom. Thank you for joining us. And Shoshana, I think you were muted.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You're